Welcome to the first edition of Inside Radigan's Corner, brought to you by Rad Mad Productions. Today's topic, why the Beatles album Revolver is important to music. Now, here's your host, Tom Radigan.
What's going on, guys? It is Tom Radigan. So for today's video, I'm going to be talking about why the Beatles album Revolver is important to music. So in 1966, the Beatles were already the biggest rock group on the planet. Their success would continue as a band, not so much live, but in the studio. Today I'm going to explain why the Beatles' seventh studio album, Revolver, is a masterpiece and why it's important to music. I'm going to start this off by talking about what led to creating the Beatles album Revolver. So now, it was 1966. The Beatles were already at the height of their career. Of course, they were successful, releasing albums from the Capitol releases in America and the Parlophone releases in England. So yeah, they were really popular with their albums. With them performing, it was taking a toll on them because when they were performing, they couldn't hear themselves live. It was becoming a real nightmare for them because they were just having such a problem because of the fans. They were screaming so loud that they couldn't hear themselves perform. So the band really needed a new outlet for them to be creative. And what was that going to be? Well, that's why we're here for this video today. When it came time to do their next album, which was Revolver, they started to realize that they could do more in the studio than they could live. So it was pretty much like, a work of art too. And in 1966, already great albums from other groups were coming out at this time, like the Beach Boys' Pet Sounds, Bob Dylan's Blonde on Blonde. So, this was, it was going to be interesting because what was going to be released for the Beatles this year. My second point on this video is talking about why the Beatles album Revolver is important for their songwriting too. Now, Rubber Soul, their 1965 album, changed, what other albums of theirs look like in songwriting. Like their songs got more mature and they really and it was to this point they really grew musically, and Revolver was just going to continue on that. Now, of course, Lennon and McCartney were already established songwriters, and they were already making songs that people knew already, and they achieved so much. They were definitely the main songwriters. But George Harrison definitely grew more as a songwriter. Definitely on some albums before, like Help and Rubber Soul, he started writing more music. But by Revolver, he was really starting to try to find his own voice, and he had 3 songs on this album. And usually George got 2 songs. So, but for this album, he got 3, and it's one of the few albums that he had more than 2 songs. And my favorite song, which I think is his best on the album, is Taxman. That's what opens up the album, and it's a very it's very 60s, with the guitar solo. George's lyrics were really good. I mean, he was like I say, he was really proving himself to be an incredible songwriter too. Of course, John and Paul's songs are great too. I mean, for instance, Paul McCartney's Here, There, and Everywhere, I think, is one of the most beautiful love songs ever written. And, of course, Ringo also has a song on the album, which a lot of people know as Yellow Submarine. Now, of course, it wasn't written by Ringo, it was written by John and Paul. And, I think, that's a great song, too. And then it was the lead single on the album, along with Eleanor Rigby. They were both A-sides. And Eleanor Rigby was, Paul's song. Revolver was the Beatles' first psychedelic album. Yeah, at a time when the Beatles started experimenting also with drugs. This was the time they were taking drugs, so pot, LSD, and some of their songs even include stuff about drugs, like Dr. Robert and Got to Get You Into My Life. It's funny because Got to Get You Into My Life, you think it's a beautiful, love song, but it's actually a song about marijuana. The song that they were going to close with was Tomorrow Never Knows. And that's as psychedelic as you get. George Martin really let them, even though he was the producer, he let them experiment as well. So, the band would record stuff backwards. They would change the speed as well. That was another thing on this album too, was you were going to see backwards recordings of playing the guitars backwards, especially on I'm Only Sleeping. Shortly after the album was released on August 5th in 1966, the Beatles were embarking on their last tour. And their last performance would be in San Francisco's Candlestick Park, and after that they no longer toured and just continued on making albums. And yeah, so like yeah, so that was their point. Like they just realized that they wanted to just focus on, you know, doing studio stuff. Now this album cover here was actually also designed by a friend of theirs when they, you know, in their early days when they started playing in Hamburg, Germany. His name was Klaus Vormann, and he like designed the album for them. So yeah, he like this famous cover, which, you know, it's a really, I mean, it's like, you know, it's a great album, but this is also an amazing cover too, you know, and you can see like how it has, you know, like certain older images of them. So now this album definitely like showed that the Beatles didn't need an audience, and their music just became more of an art form than ever before. Like, you know, without this album, I don't know if they would be able to create Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band or the White Album. You know, they really needed to this time as a band to grow. Revolver has always been one of my favorite Beatles album, and it's like it was the first Beatles album I ever listened to, and I was hooked from it from the beginning, and I'll always love it. I think it's phenomenal with the production, the music. You know, they all four did a great job playing their instruments. You really like go on a journey listening to this album. You keep wanting more, honestly. That's what this album has you do, and that's what a lot of albums should have you do, is always wanting more than you put out. So yeah, so that's why I believe Revolver is definitely a fantastic album and their best. That's pretty much what I have to say for this video. Thank you guys for watching. Hit that bell notifications, hit that thumbs up, and hit that subscribe button. Thank you guys, and see you guys in the next video.